Lots of fear in the market today. I don't even have to ask everyone, is there fear? Do you feel that you need to panic? Because I can see it here on the fear and greed index. Okay, we've been in extreme fear, I think, for the last three. Let me just check here. Where's that little, might have to just zoom out here. Let's see. Extreme fear for the last 2 weeks. Okay, a little bit of fear. So I don't even have to run a poll. I know that everyone is fearful at the moment, and this is just the general market sentiment, okay? Everything is taking a little bit of a dump here to the downside, and now the question is it going to continue? Is it only going to get worse? Those are the questions on everyone's mind. Should I be selling? Okay? Guys, just, this little disclaimer, let me... Yes, that little disclaimer that I just showed you over there, okay, I am not a financial advisor. I can only share with you what I do as a technical trader. Investment and trading are two different things, okay? You have to remember that at the end of the day. When I see extreme fear, it does tickle me a little bit, okay, to buy some from a spot perspective. I love to add aggressively to my portfolio when I have dry powder. When I see this, okay, so let's analyze the price of Bitcoin and see, well, can this continue, or is there a bounce on the horizon? If you are in a short, congratulations, okay, I hope you're taking profits to the downside, because there is a good chance for a bounce in this zone. Right, we've absolutely just fallen, and we just keep on falling here to the downside. Now the question is, this little structure, when is it going to come to an end? Can we expect a little bit of a relief rally and then maybe see continuation to the downside? That is what we are going to analyze today. So remember to smash up that like button if you enjoy the content, and also want to share with you guys what I shared on the community yesterday, okay? Because there's no denying the fact that I was looking for a long, and yes, even yesterday during my stream or during Andy's stream, I said I have smelly fingers because I was looking for a bounce. Okay, I was looking for a bounce inside of this zone, and I said I have smelly fingers. But then something happened. Okay, when I saw this structure and the potential for downside here, I posted an update to let the community know that for continuation to the downside, you should not break local market structure. So I know we're all looking for longs, but I'm going to hedge a short here against my long. And that's exactly what I did. Okay, I hedged a short against my long. And then last night, I told everyone I'm taking a little bit of profits. I took 30% profits. This morning, okay, I took another 40% profits from this trade. And that basically neutralized my long. Guys, I don't think anyone likes to lose money in the market. Okay, I don't like to lose money in the market. But when I'm looking for a swing long and I can see that the structure has great potential to still keep on moving to the downside, I think it was a good call to do that little short hedge. It was really a good call to do that short hedge, because now I did not lose any money. That's what's most important. So while I was looking for the long and this little choppiness here to the downside, I entered a hedge. I think I have it still here. No, I think I delete. Is it this way? The short one. Okay, that was the hedge that I entered. And at least now I have not lost cash. Something else that I want to point out that I wrote in the community this morning is that I think, just to end this off from a community perspective, if things don't make sense, guys, and this is important, don't trade. Because by not trading, you're also preserving your capital. Okay? Wait for the structure to make sense according to your trading strategy. Looking for trades just because you want to trade is a recipe for disaster. Okay, so if you have smelly fingers looking for a long year to the downside and you don't know what you are doing, but you just want to trade for the sake of trading, you're going to get lucky maybe a couple of times, but you're going to blow a big hole in your account, if not liquidate your entire position or account. Okay, remember guys, I'm just a crazy dude on YouTube giving you my perspective on the market and what I like to do. So what I want to say over here is, while I was looking for a long, I think wait, can't remember. I think I entered, this was yesterday. Okay, I think I entered here somewhere. I added to my position, and I have not added, I only went in with 2% of my capital. Okay, when I added here, I went in with, I was 2% in the long trade. And then price fell here to the downside, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to leave my stop loss where it's supposed to be, and I'm going to enter a head short against my long. And well, now the short has paid back this loss for the long. So, you know, it's about, that's the only thing you can do as a trader is protect your capital. That's the only thing you can do. You choose when to enter and when to exit your positions. So I know I'm hammering a little bit here on risk management, guys, but you know, I just don't want to see people getting wrecked. I don't want to see people liquidating their accounts. Also, when I entered the long over here, I told everyone I went in with 1%. I added another percent. Okay, please practice good risk management, because crap like this, okay, I told everyone while we were all looking for a long, I said, guys, I don't want to be the party pooper over here, but this is a scenario that could play out. Okay, you're forming multiple 1-2s and you absolutely just drop here to the downside. So I think the best thing to do is maybe not just to look for longs, but also, you know, be smart about it and look maybe for a hedge short. And in this hedge short, I did highlight this scenario. You don't want to lose local structure change. Local structure meaning on the smaller time frames. Okay, so if I go here onto the 5-minute time frame, the worst case scenario that I was spotting over here is that if this is 1-2, 1-2, it's building up 1-2s and it's just going to absolutely tank to the downside. The structure should not take the highs. You want to see movement down, and you want to see local market structure stay intact. Lower lows, lower highs. Okay, so when we got here, I was just like, okay, well, that high should not be claimed. That high should not be claimed. I entered a position against my long, just to explain to everyone my thinking process. I was like, I don't want to lose a significant amount, or 2% of my cash with this long. I'm going to hedge it over here. Okay, and I played the momentum here to the downside, taking profits on the way down. And now you might be asking yourself, well, why did you take profits over here? Because this is where I took profits this morning, right over here. And now we're getting a little bit of a bounce. It's not a significant area, but there's a lot of Fibonacci alignments with that area over there. Okay, so let's just put this into perspective. Go back here onto the 15-minute time frame. So the reason I saw that there's a potential for bounce where we are at the moment is I just did a couple of Fib pulls. Nothing special, just simple Fib pulls. I took a Fib, okay, from this low to the high, and I think you reverse it. Let's see if it has alignment. I did a couple, guys, I did so many Fib pools, and then I saw, 1.618, we got the bounce. Okay, so pay attention to this level where we got the bounce and where I took profits from the short. I'm still in that short. I still have a position running to the downside, just to hedge against any long attempts that I want to take. It's the best way to trade for me from a risk management perspective. If I have that hedge short, protecting my long so that I don't lose significant cash, it's a beautiful trade to take. So we tapped the 1.618. Okay, we got the bounce. Now I can take this one out the way. There was also, I was measuring this high to the low to the high. Let's reverse it back to the downside. See, guys, I'm just playing around with Fib to see, well, can I find confluence? 1-to-1 extension. Okay, which means that this structure and this structure is the same length. Bounce. Okay. Then, guys, there was a couple of Fib pools. Then I was also looking at this contracting diagonal, and for the moment, this looks like the best count that I can find at the moment from an Elliott wave perspective. Okay, local ending diagonal inside of this structure. So I will show you now how this fits into the bigger structure, but just pay attention here to the larger structure. Is that I actually deleted that trend line by mistake. There should be a trend over there. Okay, so in an ending diagonal, basically meaning that the structure is coming to an end, you can form an ending diagonal to finish off the last fifth wave. So this is where the impulse stopped, and then you form this is where the correction stopped, but this is where the impulse stopped, and then you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in an ending diagonal. Okay, and you will see that I have targets here as well. And where did we get the bounce? We got the bounce at the 0.618. So far, okay, it's bearish. You can see this trend, we've lost momentum. So this also presents a shorting opportunity, by the way. So for the bulls, you can see that I'm tracking this momentum here as well. I want to see momentum starting to shift. Okay, I'm tracking the price action to see if momentum will start to shift. We have lost this trend. This was a retest potential shorting opportunity for continuation. Okay, but also I'm aware of an ending diagonal because the structure is so choppy. It really opens up the door for an ending diagonal, which never has the highest probability, but it does look okay from a structural perspective. Okay, so in an ending diagonal, you want to see a 3-wave in a 1. Okay, ending diagonals has to have 3-wave structures. It's not allowed to have 5-wave structures. You have a 3-wave structure in a wave 2, and you have a 3-wave structure in a wave 3, small little 4th wave correction in a 3-wave structure, and this could be your end of your 5th wave. Most common target is the 0.618 and the 786. The invalidation for this scenario is claiming the 1-to-1 extension, because that means that your 5th wave is the same length as your 3rd wave, which is not allowed. This is why I have a clear invalidation over here. So just wanted to explain this little scenario. I know it gets choppy, it gets what on earth is going on here. So for a sign of strength, okay, you can see I also entered a scalp little long over here. Stop below the low, and I've now protected my position because there's a chance for the structure to come to an end. And the beauty about trading like this is that I now have a free position to the upside. Free position to the upside. I still have my head short. So if I'm wrong and I get stopped out, I lose the fees for this trade. Okay, and then I will be looking for that over here. And if it doesn't happen and it waterfalls through the level, well, then I'm not interested in the long anymore, unless I have other areas of confluence to the downside. Hope this makes sense, guys. I know I love to educate, so does Andy. This is why we joined forces here on the channel. We love to educate and teach people how to trade properly, because at the end of the day, it's about risk management. Okay, so catching the bottoms is not easy. It looks easy. Now the price has played out, and I told everyone I took a scalp long. I did inform the community. Okay, and by the way, if you want those updates that I share, and myself and Andy and the coaches share, that I've just gone through, link is always down in the description, guys. Okay, down in the description, you get 2 months free access to our community. DM me the word access and you'll get all those updates as well. Scenarios as they play out, how I protect position, how I entered the scalp short to protect against my long. I gave those updates yesterday inside of the community, and this morning I shared a couple of updates as well. So if you want free access for 2 months, DM me the word access, use this link, some instructions that you need to follow, and then you'll get free access to the community. Okay, so now, still here on the 15-minute time frame, we will do it. I'll zoom out now onto the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame, just to see, well, from a larger time frame perspective, where are we? Okay, but yeah, on the smaller time frames, okay, if you're not experienced with trying to catch bottoms, you are going to have smelly fingers, okay? And it's also most often a recipe for disaster for most traders, because that's where they start bleeding out their accounts. So when price is confusing, zoom out onto the larger time frames, okay, and see if you can get a bigger plan from a swing trading perspective on the larger time frames. So I'll get to that in a second, but let's just wrap up the small little time frame over here. So in this scenario with an ending diagonal, basically meaning that this dump here from $98,000 up until where we are now could be coming to an end, but it can get very choppy, very messy. It keeps on weakening people out, and then you get the reversal back to the upside. So it's not an easy structure to trade. Okay, the best thing that you can do as a technical trader, especially if you're not experienced in swing failure patterns, you don't know what to do, is you need to wait for an impulse. So for a sign of strength, the first trend that needs to be broken is that one. And I want price to get acceptance back inside. It needs to get back inside. That's step number one. Then it needs to start shifting momentum. I want it to smash out of this trend. It needs to smash out of this trend. Also, longing opportunity. But the most important thing is you want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to see a 5-wave structure to the upside. You want to see an impulsive structure to the upside, and you want to start changing market structure. The most important high to claim over here is this high. Okay, so patience rewards. As a technical trader, you're going to have to wait for market structure to shift. And you might miss out on a couple of $1,000 move over here, but then you know, okay, higher high. Now this looks interesting. 5-wave move to the upside. Every impulse has to correct itself. 3-wave corrective structure, there's your opportunity. That's where you join the train to the upside. If you don't know what to do here, okay, you are going to bleed out your account. So you have to sit on your hands and you have to wait for confirmation. Sorry guys, I feel like I'm preaching over here. It's just, you know, when I get DMs from people saying that they're underwater, they've blown a hole, it really frustrates me. Okay, and this is why I'm so passionate about education. Right, so sign of strength, we need to get back inside the trend. Okay, we need to break this and we need to start changing market structure. I want to see a higher high. Okay, higher high. Hopefully, preferably a 5-wave structure, because a 3-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, okay, 1, 2, 3, it can just morph in. You're basically going to go sideways, okay, or take the low again. Okay, so now let's zoom out a little bit and just show you guys, well, where do I think we are from a structural perspective? Okay, so now let's go here onto the 4-hour time frame. Just want to throw this trend, local ending diagonal in there, switch it off. Okay, let's zoom into the structure. And remember guys, to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Let me say hi to the community before I continue. Not every 5 waves to the upside is good. It could be a C wave, correct, but at least it presents an opportunity. Okay, that's the important thing. I know, guys, you see this, okay, you see this. Yes, that could be a C wave, okay, but it presents an opportunity because an impulse is also a 5-wave structure, okay. So this, if it's a C wave, well, then you can go down 4 and claim the low again. Worst case scenario, you go and claim the low again. But it depends on the move to the downside, because that is the clue. When you have a 5-wave structure back to the upside, okay, and you get a mess, choppy, overlapping structures, there's a higher chance that this is correcting this impulse and that presents a longing opportunity. If you see a 5-wave move to the downside, okay, let me just clean up the scribble over here. So what I'm trying to understand is, or trying to explain over here is, if you see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then that presents a shorting opportunity. So you have to read the structure. I'm not just going to long like a crazy person over here, okay, because I see that. No, the corrective structure will give me the information that I need whether I should long. And that's obviously also why we have stop losses in place, because if your analysis is wrong, at least you get stopped out. Okay, you don't just add and to the position, liquidate your account, and so forth. Okay, now, yeah, since $98,000, now we have this little move here to the downside. And for now, it still looks like a 3-wave structure. I can't help but think, but it still looks very 3-wavy. Okay, yes, one could argue to say that, well, maybe this is the 1, this is the 2, that's the 3, and the 4, and the 5 now here to the downside. Okay, it's just, this is incredibly short compared to that. Anyways, you guys get the point. Volume is slowing down. Okay, as we are dipping here and keep on claiming the lows, volume is dripping down, which means that the bears are running out of steam from a volume perspective. I'm not saying that because I want to say that. I'm saying volume is showing me that the bears are running out of steam. So they keep on pushing the price down, and maybe, you know, when everyone is tired of longing, I've had it. I'm not longing anymore. I've been stopped out 5 times. I've had it. That's usually when the price reverses. They will keep on chopping people out until no one wants to long anymore. And then they're going to send it. Okay. And I'm not saying send it as such. I'm just saying at least a little relief rally like we had there, like we had here. I played that long. I played that long. Okay. Made good cash. Now, a couple of FIP pools that I need to highlight over here is I just want to figure out, I think the most interesting question on everyone's mind, is there a chance, okay, from where we are right now to still move up aggressively? Okay, either a 5-wave, 3-wave, we're just to find some upwards momentum. And the scenario that I have here, let's check it out. Is it this one? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to take some things here out the way just to clean it up. But now, this is the scenario, and I know we've been talking about this scenario. I see Andy's also been talking about this scenario in his live stream. And now the question is, did it get invalidated? Okay, the one thing I want to highlight to everyone is that for a 3-wave A, okay, and a B flat in an A, B, C to the downside, I usually have the 1.618 as an invalidation. In Elliott wave theory, it's not an invalidation. The reason I make it an invalidation is because a B wave to tap the 1.618 is extremely rare. That's why I make it an invalidation. Most common, 90 to 95% of the time, it finds support in this zone. So this is rare to tap the 1.618. Now I just want to zoom in and see, well, did we tap that level? Let's go check it out. It's close. It's very close. Okay. So if the bulls can find their feet over here, this scenario is hanging on by a thread. Okay. It literally is hanging on by a thread. And this is what I say, guys. This is where the opportunity lies. Okay. The opportunity, if you're not an experienced trader, does not lie in trying to snipe the bottoms, because most people get wrecked trying to snipe the bottoms. The opportunity lies in waiting for structure to show you that there's an opportunity. Okay, so you need to see a 5-wave move up in a wave 1. And then when price gets here, this is usually where people are like, oh man, I've missed it. Damn it, I've missed the trade. No, because that is your opportunity. But this needs to be a 3-wave corrective structure. And yes, that can form. Usually second waves are sharp little corrective structures and they go deep. 786, golden pocket. They love those targets. Okay, so you will take a fib from the low to the high. You want to see overlappy structure. You ideally, when that price move and it starts overlapping there, that's usually my clue. Okay, you see a wave down, it starts moving up, it overlaps. That's usually where I get very interested. Guys, I don't mind. I really don't mind entering a position late with confirmation to join this move. Okay, so, I mean, this move is almost, for me, according to my technical rules, is almost invalidated. Not yet, but it's very close. Okay, so in this scenario, you have formed a 3-wave A, a 3-wave B, and C, like someone pointed out, has to be a 5-wave structure. Okay, let me just, the C over here. Okay, let me just rearrange these things. It has to be a 5-wave structure. Dum dum dum. Okay, let me just rearrange that. So inside of the local move to the downside, you want to see a 1, a 2, a 3, and maybe you can even move 3 there. Okay. 4, and now this needs to come to an end. And the only way that I can count it is like I showed you guys on the smaller time frames, an ending diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. inside of the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame. And it should not claim the 1.618. So if the bounce is going to happen for this scenario, it needs to happen now. Okay, because we are very, very close to the invalidation. But for confirmation, you want to see, because remember guys, each structure has 5 waves inside of it. Each structure has 5 waves. You want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Also, this A wave can also be counted as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could be one that I'm just doing now the same thing here to the upside. Once you have a 5-way structure to the upside and you start correcting, okay, maybe you have a trend. I will definitely be paying attention to the trend. You break out and you start overlapping, okay, the pivots. That's a good sign that you can continue. Okay, in a 3rd wave, 4th wave, 5th wave. And you might be thinking, Dewald is absolutely crazy over here. He's talking about $98,000 potential here at the moment. I'm just sharing with you the technical analysis. I got a comment from someone yesterday to say, how dare you talk about this scenario? Guys, it's a technical scenario that could still play out. That's it. Technically, the scenario is possible. And it has not been invalidated. If the scenario has been invalidated, I would have said, yeah, guys, low probability. So the bulls needs to defend this level for the scenario to still play out. Okay, now we can move on to other couple of scenarios. But now you can see in the ABC, okay, now this move, when I zoom into the 15-minute time frame, is what I'm now looking at, is to say that, well, okay, this could have been your 4 that ended over here. Okay, this is maybe your 5, extended ending diagonal 5, where you have formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a contracting ending diagonal. Okay, it's basically the scenario. Let me bring it up onto the screen. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where we swing failured at the 0.618, which is a 5th wave target in an ending diagonal. So the bulls need to step up here. The bulls really need to step up here. Okay, you can see that we are struggling to get back inside the trend. We can still claim the 786 and still get a bounce. Guys, I'm not saying that if that bullish scenario gets invalidated here by the 1.618 that we can't get a bounce. You can still get a bounce in the zone. Okay, so if price moves down here, it does the same thing that it did over there, and then it moves up. Well, then $98,000 has a lower probability, but you could still get the bounce. So what I mean by that is, okay, if I go back here onto the 1-hour time frame, so instead of looking at this scenario where price could absolutely rocket to the upside, if the 1.618 is smashed, then I would rather look at a scenario as such. Okay, then this scenario is going to start carrying higher probability. 1, 2, 3, it invalidates the bullish case scenario, and then you form a 4 and a 5. Correction, continuation. That's what's changing. So you could still get a nice little move to the upside. You can get another nice move to the upside because now you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Impulse has to correct itself. Shorting opportunity, continuation. That's what's going to change. It closes the door for, you know, the $98,000. At least 90% of the move can be retraced in a 3-wave A when you have a flat B to the downside. Okay. Let me just make sure that I have everything marked out. So this is kind of the only bullish count that makes sense for me at the moment, is that we have formed a 1. It's either a 1, 2, 3 or an A, B, C. The question is, are we going to form 4 and 5, or is this going to be the end? And this is A, B, C. Inside of the C, you formed a contracting diagonal, an ending diagonal to end off the C wave, which is fine. Okay, but now you want the bulls to step in and not claim that 1.618. On a larger time frame perspective, let's just go here onto the 8-hour time frame. I just also want to see, well, structurally, where are we? You can go here onto the 12-hour time frame. Okay, structurally, where we are is we are almost at the value area high of this entire range. Almost. Let me just try this again. Almost there. Not there yet, but we're almost there. But we are hitting support, okay? The highs is providing support here at the moment, okay? The highs can provide support, but this is a massive consolidation area, which means that there's going to be a bounce. If the bounce is not going to happen now, regardless of how you count this from an Elliott wave perspective, so now I'm just bringing back simplicity into the game. So stuff Elliott wave theory, let's throw it out the window for a moment, okay? There's a high chance that you are going to get a bounce in the zone. Okay, when you look at the volume inside of this consolidation area, there's a high volume node and there's a point of control. And I see with some exchanges, the point of control is actually at that level. It jumps around depending on how much volume was traded on that exchange. Okay, but you have some significant support inside of that zone. So let me bring out my support and resistance. There we go. So we are heading into support. It does present, from a swing trading perspective, it presents an opportunity. Well, I'm at support. We have fallen aggressively here to the downside. I at least expect a bounce. Okay. And then it's up to your trade management to take profits and protect position however you want to take this trade. Remember, guys, no financial advice. You need to do your own research. But I've basically aligned my support, okay, with the boxes inside from a volume perspective. Also, when I switch on the VRVP, just to have some more confirmation, well, you can see, okay, support here, high volume node, support here, high volume node. And you can see that price, and this is why it's now chopping here to the downside. Price is now chopping people out of their positions because you're entering this massive support area, volume area over here. So it could get choppy, maybe more choppy, but then you at least expect maybe upwards. It hits this resistance over here and then it continues. Okay, so I'm just looking to take advantage of a bounce, either to the upside or to the downside. Definitely, you know, shorting opportunity. You could retest the scene of the crime. Okay, you need to take profits. But you guys get the idea that we are heading into nice support here at the moment. So for me to look for shorts, especially swing shorts, for scalping, perfectly fine. I've jumped into a short yesterday to hedge against my long. But from a swing trading perspective, to look for shorts here, just for me, does not make any sense. For me, it technically does not make sense to look for a swing short at these levels. There was the shorting opportunity. There was the shorting opportunity. Not here. Okay, because the biggest move already happened, okay, with the most amount of volume. So inside of that structure, if I go back here onto the 4-hour time frame, inside of this local structure, the biggest move with the highest amount of volume happened here. Okay, highest amount of volume. You can see average volume is increasing. So for me, this is not an area to look for shorts. This is an interesting area to look for longs, especially swing longs. Okay, let me go through some comments. Thanks, Dewald. You've clarified some potential scenarios. Absolute pleasure, man. Andy, you look great today. This is very bearish bear market, no relief bounces. Guys, I think, you know, it's just a game of probabilities at the end of the day. But I think there's a high chance, okay, from a technical perspective, that you're going to find a bounce in the zone. Okay, this is not the bounce, or this is not the zone where I'm going to look for shorts. This is actually where I'm very interested in adding some DCAing back into my spot bags. Very interesting zone for me to start adding. Below $80,000 for me is this zone, yeah, very interesting zone to start DCAing. Guys, you're never going to catch the bottom to perfection. Okay, you never catch the tops to perfection. You can just DCA when you see this. When I see extreme fear, when I see that people are tired of longing, when I see, sentiment is just down the toilet, this is where I start DCAing. And it has rewarded me over the years very handsomely. Okay, from a spot back long-term perspective. But there ain't no way that I am buying aggressively into my spot bags when we are in extreme greed. There's no ways. Okay, and I use this as an indicator, especially when I want to add some significant portions back into my spot bags. Fear and greed. I mean, who's that person that said, what is that guy called? You guys will let me know in the comments. Warren Buffett. Okay, be fearful when everyone's greedy and be greedy when everyone's fearful. And I live by that philosophy, specifically from a spot back and investment perspective. Okay, day trading perspective, guys, there's a completely different game. Soul analysis, please. You guys want to have a look at altcoins? I think everyone is so super focused on Bitcoin at the moment because obviously Bitcoin is dragging the whole market with it at the moment. Devil, does the recent move down can be a zigzag to finish Y? Wave on daily. We are close to 0.6. Zigzag. I see what you mean. I also looked at that this morning. Okay, and we were very, 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 very close. Okay, let me just take this line out the way. Let's clean up the chart because that's a very interesting scenario. Great question. Okay, what if this is basically a three-wave structure in a W, a three-wave structure in a X, and then a three-wave structure in a Y? That's basically what you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly. The minimum target is taking the low of X. So let me just put this properly here on the chart. Okay, W, X, Y. In Elliott wave theory, it states that the minimum target for Y is to take the low of W in a zigzag to the downside. So tick, that has happened. No doubt about that. Okay, low has been claimed. And then the 0.618 is regarded as the minimum Fibonacci target. Okay, so you take a fib from the high to the low to the high. And we're almost there. We're almost there. But we haven't claimed it yet. We haven't claimed it yet. So definitely that's what I'm saying, guys. This zone for me is an interesting bouncing zone. Okay. I would like to see price dip below, grab the liquidity, start trading back above, sign of strength. You know where to put your stop loss. It's great. You can also wait for momentum to start shifting. But yes, you are correct. Okay, we are at almost the minimum target of a Y wave. Three wave W, three wave X, and 1, 2, 3 wave Y. Definitely a possibility. It would be nice to actually claim the 0.618. But it doesn't have to. But it would be great if it does, because that is the minimum Fibonacci target. The most common target for a WXY or a Y wave to the downside, now let's talk a little bit more bearish, is yes, you can get a bounce here, and then you move up, and then you move back down. Okay, and then you basically have a larger Y wave, which basically means inside of your Y, you formed an A, B, C in a bigger Y wave to the downside. So you can see that this can morph into a larger structure. But based on the question that you've asked now, can it be done? Is there a chance for the WXY to be done? I would say it meets the minimum requirements. Okay. The only thing that looks really off is time. Time looks really off because now you have to measure how long did it take W from a timing perspective and how long did it take Y to form over here. So let's do that. Let's measure how long did it take W. Okay, now I've got W's time and I put it on X, and how long did it take Y. So it does meet the minimum time requirement. So you want the Y to at least finish after the 0.382, which is the minimum requirement, and you can see that we are after the 0.382. So W, X, Y, very interesting scenario. but you're looking for a bounce. I think there's a high chance we're going to get a bounce in the zone. Choppy, you know, wiki here to the downside, wiki, and then maybe a nice little relief rally. Okay, biggest area of resistance from a price action perspective is here at $88,000. So still a nice little day trade or swing trade here back to the upside. So definitely interesting zone where we are at the moment. I am very aggressively looking for a long. I know that there's a good chance for a bounce in the zone. I am looking for a long, guys, because I know it's fearful, it's scary. No one wants to long at the moment. When I look at CVD, I looked at CVD this morning. Let's see if it changed. Okay. Yeah, but I saw with this move here to the upside, obviously we have now some new price action. When price was moving up here, okay, CVD is falling down, which shows me people don't want to long anymore. They're getting tired of longing. So maybe we take the low once more, okay, invalidate that other bullish scenario. Maybe the WXY is finished. Maybe we do get some more upwards momentum. Who knows? Okay. But still, it's an interesting zone for me to look for longs. We have massive support on the 8-hour time frame. We are entering some very interesting support zones. Let me just put this back over here. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I have too many things inside here. So as I'm drawing, it just creates more things. We are nearing support. And I think what's interesting about this zone, it doesn't matter how you count the structure, whether this is a WXY, it's coming to an end over here. I'm expecting a bounce in the zone. You have a consolidation area that lasted for months. You have a lot of volume traded inside of this zone. It makes sense for price to give us a little bounce. Okay, at a minimum, a little bounce. That's all I'm asking for, Bitcoin, just a little bounce. Okay, also, when I take, okay, now we can do a couple of Fibonacci pools, because I know some people are also still looking at this scenario where we have formed an A, a B, and we are finishing up a C wave. That's also an interesting scenario. Okay, inside of your C wave, you have formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From a channeling and timing perspective, it does not look sexy, but it has not been invalidated. From an Elliott wave rules perspective, okay, that little 4 did not overlap with 1. That's the hardcore rule. It didn't overlap. It did not claim the 0.618 when you take a fib from the high to the low. So you can also count the structure as a 5-wave structure. You can count the structure as a WXY. So very interesting bouncing zone. It's almost like it doesn't matter how you count the structure. We are at an interesting bouncing zone, and this is why I'm very interested in longing positions, specifically swing positions, low leverage, low capital, okay, swing positions here to the upside. Obviously, with good risk management to manage your trade. With this wave 4 being a flat, yes. So let's wrap up this little ABC over here. Okay, so let's make it bigger. Now everyone knows what I mean. Let me take the support and resistance out the way. Let's clean this up. Okay, so there's your WXY. I'll just hide this for now. Or you have an ABC that's coming to an end. In an ABC, the most common target for this C, okay, the most common target is the 1.618. Well, I like to say it's the most common target because I see them hit all the time, especially on Bitcoin. It might not be the most common target in stock markets, but on Bitcoin, Bitcoin loves the 1.618. So how do you measure that? You take a fib, okay, a trend-based fib, your second option, from the high of A to the low of A to the high of B. Well, look what is also inside of this zone. You have the value area high, you have the 1.618, you have the potential for a WXY, you have the potential for an ABC flat where B takes the high, C takes the low, which it already did. That is a perfect flat scenario. So still a very interesting bouncing zone. So it kind of feels like it doesn't matter how I count the structure. The zone where price is now dancing around looks very interesting. Okay. Why bother with longs in a falling market? Just made money on a short. Yes, I also made money on a short last night. Nice little money on a short last night. Okay, I took more profits this morning. Where we go. This morning I took another 40% profits. So the question is always, and it's a good comment. The question is always, regardless of how you count the structure from an Elliott wave perspective, have you made money? Okay, because oftentimes, guys, my analysis is wrong, but then the next day I have money in my bag. Is because I'm observing the structure, and if something changes in the structure on the smaller time frames, I'm allowed to change my mind. In fact, I have to change my mind because I cannot be biased in one direction. If a structure shows me that it's going to fall, and my analysis maybe 2 hours earlier shows me that it's going to climb, I'm going to change my mind. Okay, and that is what happened yesterday inside of this local structure. I was looking for a long, and I'm still looking for longs very aggressively. Okay, I was looking for a long over I entered a long. I think it was here where I entered a long. Okay, because we got the SFP from the lows, the April lows. I added a little bit to my position there, 1%, 2%. So I was 2% in my trade. And then I told the community I still have 1 more percent to deploy, which I didn't deploy. But then when I saw that, I entered a short because the structure showed me probabilities, and for market structure to change, it just made sense to enter a short over there as well. Okay, but for me, from a swing trading perspective, okay, this is not where I'm looking for a short from a swing trading perspective. Yes, guys, you can short local market structures here. Long, short, however you want to trade the range over here. Short, long, you're scalping the range. You're applying your trading strategy based on your plan, your trading plan. I'm not sure. Some of you trade moving averages. Some of you trade MACDs. Okay. But according to my trading strategies, yes, I can long and short this entire range. But from a swing trading perspective, where I'm looking for a little bit of a larger move, I'm not interested in shorts in this zone. Can price fall aggressively to the downside? Yes, there's always that possibility. The probabilities is, however, low. And I trade probabilities at the end of the day. Okay. So to wrap up your answer to your question is that when I look at this entire structure, just from a price action perspective, okay, you have an impulse, a long correction that lasted for many months with loads of volume traded in it. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is support. I cannot look for a short inside of support. Okay. Yeah, you had resistance. Look at that. There's no ways that I'm looking for a long when you're starting to hit resistance. That's where you should be looking for shorts. This is where you should be looking for longs. And I hope that logic comes through somehow. Okay. I cannot look for shorts at support, and I cannot look for longs at resistance. Right. Let me go through some more comments. Is wave 4 happening? Yes, definitely a possibility for wave 4 to happen here on the smaller time frame. Okay. So I mean, if I look at the structure, let's just clean up the chart. Let me take the noise out here, out of the chart. Just looking at this structure, I was trying to do some counts just before the live stream, and I was trying to count this structure here to the downside. Because you know, usually as the structure unfolds, the counts makes more sense. Okay, but you can count this as a 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, which could now be forming, and a 5 to the downside. That is one count. But then I know there's also a count. Okay, I don't like it particularly. 1, 2, 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Then there's a count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there's a count A, B, C. But, okay, and I'm doing this on purpose because I'm showing everyone it doesn't matter how I count the structure. Okay, the end is close. and I'm looking for a bounce. Okay, it's not that I'm counting here a 1 and a 2 and I'm talking about, guys, we're going to fall here in a third wave. Okay, because your fifth waves are usually short and they usually, not always, the same length as your first wave, if not shorter. Your third waves are the most aggressive, carries the highest amount of volume and does the most damage. So you could have a little 4 and a 5 and it's done. Okay, but it's still an interesting zone because it doesn't matter if I count an ABC, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, whether I count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an interesting zone for me to pay attention for longs. I'm sorry if I'm coming across a little bit preachy. I'm just very passionate about technical analysis, as you guys can see. For me, sometimes, you know, it's way more fun, guys, to try and put the puzzle pieces together than to actually make money from the trades. I've just reached that phase in my trading career where it's not about the money anymore. It's like putting the puzzle pieces together. And, oh, I see you, okay? This is how the structure is coming together. Right, one day RSI. Let's go look at some RSIs. Let's clean up the structure, but also, guys, just to, okay, let's put on the RSIs, one day RSI. Let's see what, yeah, I know that one day RSI has been shoveling some, you know, mud here at the bottom. Okay, if you look at the one day RSI, we've been here at the bottom for quite some time, you know, so it would make sense to get a little bit of a relief rally. I don't use RSIs from a day trading perspective. Sometimes from an investment perspective, I do look at RSIs on the weekly time frame, 3-day chart, a higher time frame RSIs. So the RSIs on the higher time frame from an investment perspective for me becomes very interesting. So yeah, on the 3-day chart, well, okay, that's where, okay, this is where I get interested in adding to my spot bags. Would be nice to get a little bit more downwards momentum. Weekly RSI, let's see where we are. Okay, we're also here below the band. Okay, we're also here below the band. But it's not something that I use from a day trading perspective. I don't need RSIs to trade with from a day trading perspective. From an investment perspective, okay, yes, they are interesting. Okay. Also, I want to see on the daily, what is the normal RSI showing? Let's see, 12-hour. I know yesterday there was bullish divergence on the 4-hour. I'm not sure if we invalidated it. I just want to see something here. You know, it looks like we claimed it because between those two pivots, okay, there was bullish divergence. Okay, of which the target is the high. It looks like it's maybe still in play. Looks like it could be in play, but it looks like the 4-hour wants to move up a little bit. Let's see how this plays out. But definitely, you know, for those of you that were here during the beginning of this live stream, it is an interesting zone, even locally here, for me to start looking at longing opportunities, okay, which I am in at the moment. So in this ending diagonal, okay, this is where the day trading opportunities lie, guys. The reason I go through the higher time frame is for the swing traders, because we don't just have day traders here. We also have swing traders here in the community. So, you know, we need to give a little bit of love to everyone's trading style. So from a swing trading perspective, yes, I'm very interested in longing opportunities. But yeah, from a day trading perspective, and the beauty about day trading is that a day trade can turn into a swing trade. You just leave a runner to the upside, maybe add a little bit to the position when you see 5-wave move up, 3-wave corrective, add to the position, however you want to manage your trade. Okay, but in this local ending diagonal, I know that there's a chance for price to reverse over here, but I want to see signs of strength. Okay, this was my reason for jumping into a long this morning. My position is already protected. I'm not losing, okay? If I get stopped out, I lose the trading fees. Then I was tracking here on the 5-minute time frame. I was like, okay, I want to see momentum starting to shift here on the 5-minute time frame. Okay, so we can take this one now out the way. On the 5-minute time frame, I was looking at this little trend over here. Ooh, okay, Now it needs to stay there. I don't want it. It needs to get back into this trend as well. I want price to start consolidating back inside of this range. That's a sign of strength. Make no mistake, as price continues here to the upside, I will start taking profits from my long. That's just how I trade, especially when you start hitting resistance, okay? When you start hitting resistance, that definitely for me is a profit taking area, because you could reject and fall back down. And I don't want to get stopped out when I was in profits and now I have a loss. No. Okay, that's where you have a protected position, you take profits. But for a sign of strength, I want to see a 5-wave move here to the upside. I want, okay, and I know price is still very far away. You want that high to be claimed. You want price to get, okay, back inside. You want to break this trend. You want to maybe reject, make a higher low continuation. But the one thing that you want is you want this high to be claimed. The market structure has to start changing. And you're going to feel like, oh crap, I missed this entire move. But then you're a smart trader, you're waiting for confirmation, because if you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside, the retracement becomes really interesting. Breaking market structure, higher high, the retracement becomes interesting for a longing opportunity, especially when you claim this high. Okay, guys, this is 5-minute stuff. Okay, when you zoom out, it's nothing. Okay, because what I'm basically waiting for, yeah, on the smaller time frame or on the larger time frame, you're basically waiting for market structure to change. Okay, you're basically waiting for that. If you are a confirmation trader, that's where your opportunity lies. Okay, trying to get into longs here, if you're not experienced, you're going to struggle. Good channel. Accidentally opened a 10x less position than intended today, and now it's a swing position. Right, everyone, that's unfortunately all I have time for today. As price develops, I will keep the community up to date. Remember, okay, here's the community. I keep the community up to date. Andy is in here. If I enter a trade, I let the community know. I told the community about the long that I entered over here, you know. Where was it? Yeah, this is where, was this where I told the community? Anyways, you guys get the point. I took profits from my head short that I took last night. I told everyone I've entered a long over here. Sometimes the SFP happens so quickly, I can't post it in time. But, you know, you can still manage risk properly. But if you want access to the community for 2 months for free, link down in the description, DM me the word access to this link and follow a couple of steps and you'll get free access for 2 months inside of the community where we keep everyone updated. Have yourselves an amazing Thursday and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now.